is YMK Murtaugh, Witness 1. And I am going to change the title of my Mobilethon this morning. I had advertised it under a different name, but I'm changing it to Lonliness, because that's what I'm going to discuss. Someone that is very, very, very lonely. Now, there is someone that comes into my live stream when I'm on every Saturday night, and has been doing so without fail. I don't think there has been a night where this individual has not shown up in my live stream. And I'm speaking, of course, of Jax Horse. Now, we all pretty well have an idea who Jax Horse is. She really doesn't try and hide who she is, although she will not come out and admit it, but we can guess. And based on what's going on in her personal life, I can understand to some extent why she comes into my live stream. Jax Horse is a very lonely woman. She's been ostracized by her own family, according to a lot of sources, both on and off the internet. Her daughters want nothing to do with her. Her daughters won't allow her grandchildren to see her. Her husband doesn't even live in the same house. She's being ostracized by people on Facebook, and up until recently, the only people she's been able to affiliate herself with are QAnons and white supremacists. But even those people are leaving her. In 3 days, the President of the United States is going to hand over power to the new president. And he is going to go down to South Florida and ostensibly retire. And this is going to leave Jax Horse and those in her immediate core group with nowhere to go. Yes, of course, they can go over to BitChute, they can go over to Gab, they can go on the dark web. Can't go to Parler anymore. That got shut down, and it's likely not going to open back up again. But they're finding themselves increasingly isolated. And so her only outlet, other than her Facebook channel, is my chat. Now, Jax Horse is not welcome in my chat. And, you know, I've made this clear both on the chat and on Twitter, because somehow Jax Horse is able to read my Twitter account, even though she was banned from there. But now Jax Horse can't read my Twitter account because she's no longer on Twitter. They've banned her. Nobody wants her. Not even Twitter wants her. Took down both of her accounts. YouTube's not an option. They keep getting booted off YouTube, so Jax Horse is having a problem with YouTube. And her primary account on Facebook that she's had for quite a long time, that got taken down, so that the only Facebook that's left is her personal account. And as she continues on posting what she's posting on her personal Facebook account, that is going to be banned, because she's violating Facebook's terms of service there. And so the countdown begins to what's going to happen with her channel. And so she's left with no place to go. You know, she has to have attention, even if it's negative attention. She does not have a personal life. She never leaves the house, except as she's forced to, for whatever reason. Now, she claims to be wealthy. She claims her house is paid off, and so on and so forth. So that means there is no need for Task Force to leave the house. There's no job for Task Force to go to. She's either a work-at-home individual or she has enough money to where she doesn't have to work. And so her only contact with the outside world, other than her Facebook account, is me. Now, there is the BitChute account, but the BitChute account's not in her name. It's in somebody else's name. And so when she posts on that account, that blog, or that BitChute channel, she's not posting under Task Force. She's posting under somebody else's name. And so she doesn't get the attention there. She's being marginalized because of the fame of someone else, her idol. So again, she comes to my channel. Now, the only reason I bother to bring this up is to let people know on my channel that I am trying hard to get Task Force off of there. I don't like interacting with Task Force. She's not welcome there. She's disruptive. And she's causing people to leave my channel because they don't want Task Force there. I'm losing subscribers directly because of Task Force. Maybe that's her goal. If she gets on there and talks about men's underwear and bullies people and gaslights people, defames people, that maybe that'll drive people away. Maybe that's the plan behind all this. But there's something strange about Task Force. Task Force never comments on any of my mobile thoughts. Never. Maybe this time she will. But in the past, in all the times that I've had my mobile phone set up, she's never commented. She only shows up on my live streams. Now, as an experiment, I skipped a Saturday. I did have a heavy schedule, but I said, I'm just going to skip Saturday and then come back and see what Task Force does. And Task Force, like a rat, like a mosquito, like a cockroach, showed up. Within 5-10 minutes of the beginning of the stream, here comes Task Force, talking about men's underwear, talking about other people, talking about how wealthy she is, talking about the fact that I don't own a house, and that I am a renter, pumpkin eater, renter. That's how Task Force talks. Her biggest priority is my status as a homeowner and not being a homeowner. For some reason, renting is a mortal sin, even though she's in the real estate business, is purported to be in property management, which means when you're in property management, you are managing renters. Because property management usually gets into apartment houses. You know, people don't own apartments, they rent them. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. But for some reason, she looks down on renters. She looks down on people that live in manufactured housing. Mobile homes. I live in a mobile home. I don't own it. I rent it. But it's a big deal to Task Force. My financial status is a big deal to Task Force. She wants to know how much I make. Well, that's easy enough to find out because Task Force has searched every aspect of my life. She already knows how much I make because she's done illegal credit checks on my financial status. She knows my credit score. She knows my financials. She knows everything. Yet she comes on my chat and brings all this up because she's trying to shame me. You know, I don't know what priorities people have that listen to me on this channel. I mean, do people really care that I'm on Social Security and that I don't own a house That I rent a house? I mean, is this the most important people's have in life, is to know what somebody makes? You know, do they own or rent a house? Uh, you know, is this the priorities people have? They, more than what's going on in our government, politically, socially, the affairs of the world, the pandemic, all of that takes a back seat to whether or not somebody owns a house? According to Task Force, it does. But this is just a smokescreen. Because people in general really don't care. I mean, there may be a couple people out there that are interested in my financial status and lack thereof. But in the end, people are worried about more important things. About people storming the Capitol, about the political future of our country, whether you endorse the new president or not, or whether you endorse Trump or not. These things concern people more than whether or not somebody is renting a mobile home. But it sure is on the top of the list for Task Force. Most important thing in the world for Task Force at this very moment is the fact that I rent a mobile home. That I don't own a mobile home. I have to rent it. That I'm trailer trash, apparently. So everybody on this mobile-thon and everybody on my live stream, you're listening to Trailer Trash. A guy that does not own a mobile home. He rents it. So if that's a decision that you make when you either subscribe or not subscribe or listen to or not listen to this mobile-thon, knock yourself out. See, I don't go around asking people, do they own or rent their house, how much money they make, are they on Social Security, and if they're on Social Security, how much they make, because that's not important to me. It's not even interesting to me. If I was interested in wealth, I would have watched Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I thought the show was kind of dumb myself. But there are people out there that are interested in this stuff. I mean, people buy the National Enquirer because they're not interested in facts. They're interested in rumors and soap operas, People watch soap operas. The people in those soap operas are fake, but you're getting up close and personal to something. So we go watch soap operas. Jax Horse basically is nothing more than a lonely old busybody. She's an old, ostracized woman living in a house in the middle of the woods, isolated from the world. And the only access she has to the world is her internet connection. And a group of people like her. People that hate. People that are negative. People that care about nothing more than themselves and their own little hateful world. That they want to destroy anyone they don't like. And so they burst into live streams and disrupt them, spew their hate, get people angry with them, and chase them away. And in the end, a live stream gets shut down out of frustration, and they move on to their next target. Now, anybody that's tuned into my live stream will notice it's not a big live stream. On average, I get 15 people that participate in the chat. Most of the time, they talk amongst themselves, get into little conversations about what they're interested in while I go about my monologue, or sometimes they'll ask me a question. And then if Task Force comes in, they just basically get into a pissing match with Task Force. And the problem is people come in from the outside world, look at this, say this is garbage, they want nothing to do with it, so they leave. And the channel not only does not grow, but it begins to recede. Now, there's no telling how long this is going to continue and if the channel is going to bottom out. There is a bottoming out. It'll probably settle into a certain level like it did in the past. This channel went from nothing to where it is right now. I mean, for a long time, I had maybe 30 active participants on the channel. I had 30 subscribers. That's it. And I was fortunate enough to get it to where it is now. I'm at just under 990 people. I peaked out at 1,020. Now, the channel continues to decline. There's not a whole heck of a lot I can do about it. I'm not going to beg people to like, subscribe, and so forth. If they don't want to subscribe, they don't want to subscribe. I'll figure something else to do. I may back off a little bit, maybe not be online as often. I may or may not decide to have any more live streams. The 20 people that I know want the live stream, with or without Task Horse. Well, we'll see. I know I am going to do a live stream this coming Saturday. A little less than a week from now. And if Task Force shows up, I'm going to try and get Task Force out of the room. I'll keep deleting Task Force posts. I will delete or block Task Force completely if I can do it. Because nobody wants Task Force there. Doesn't matter that Task Force is this lonely old lady desperately looking for attention in my room. I don't want her here. Nobody wants her here. They want her to go away. They want her in jail because she's committing crimes. We all know what those crimes are. I don't like criminals in my room, so I don't want her here. But what can you do? She's a squatter. She's going to keep coming in and she's going to make trouble, continue to make trouble, until somehow I get her to stop. In the meantime, she's just making herself look increasingly foolish, increasingly stupid, and increasingly hated. We all know who she is. And who knows, maybe writing to people in her life may put a stop to it. I don't know. I'm not advocating it because I don't care enough. But I just thought that I would make this little mobile-thon to make people understand that I don't want Task Force in my room. I never have wanted Task Force in my room. I don't like talking to Task Force. I did try to find some information out because Task Force is suspected of murder. She refuses to explain what happened to a certain individual. She refuses to verify if the person's even alive. She makes up some nonsensical story that's easily debunked and then changes the subject, refuses to answer my questions. And so that's the only reason I engaged Task Force last night, is to find out where the body is. And if she continues to refuse to say where the body is, there's not a whole heck of a lot I can do about it. And so maybe Task Force is someone that managed to get away with murder. It's on her conscience, and she comes to my room to, excuse me, to ease her burden. Hard to say. But in the days and weeks to come, maybe we'll find out. Maybe I'll have another court case to cover. Who knows? Anyway, I wish those of you out there who bothered to listen to this good times. Have a good weekend. Hope you subscribe. If you don't, you don't. But anyway, have a good one.